Welcome back to the bull versus the bear. Today, we're putting a true giant under the microscope. Apple. I mean, the name says it all, right? Innovation, design, but with the stock flying high, everyone's asking the same thing. What's next? Is there any room left to run?
Okay, to really get what we're talking about here, you've got to wrap your head around this number. $4.03 trillion. That is just wild. We're talking bigger than the GDP of most countries. Apple isn't just playing in the big leagues, it is the league. It's a global economic force, plain and simple. So, when a company gets that big, it leads to the big question, right? The one we're here to tackle today. Is this incredible run, this golden age, finally hitting its peak? Or is Apple just getting started on its next chapter? That's the heart of the debate, and we're going to break it all down.
All right, here's the game plan. We'll start with the bull case, the whole Fortress Apple argument. Then we'll flip it and look at the bear case, the big risks everyone's worried about. After that, we dive into the AI wildcard, which could honestly change the entire story, and then we'll wrap it up so you can make the call.
Okay, let's kick things off with the bull case. The people who are optimistic on Apple, they don't just see a company. They see a fortress, an impenetrable digital fortress with a moat so wide nobody can cross it.
So, what's holding this fortress up? Well, the bulls point to four massive pillars. First, you've got that ridiculously sticky ecosystem. We're talking over 2.4 times billion devices out there. Once you're in, you're kinda in for good. Then there's the services business, the App Store, iCloud, all that stuff. It's a profit-printing machine, growing like crazy. Third, the company is just a financial powerhouse with a mountain of cash to innovate and pay back shareholders. And last but not least, that brand. Man, that brand lets them charge whatever they want.
And this chart right here really shows you how the engine is shifting. Yeah, products, iPhones, Macs are still the big piece of the pie. But look at that services slice. It's getting bigger and bigger. We're talking about almost a third of the business now, and it's high margin, predictable money coming in every single month. That makes them way less reliant on just selling you a new phone every year. It's a huge deal for their stability.
And you know, this quote from Argus Research just nails it. They talk about this amazing one-two punch Apple has. Keep pumping out desirable new products that people line up for, and then use all that cash to aggressively reward shareholders. It's a beautiful cycle, and it's been working like a charm for years.
Speaking of rewarding shareholders, check out this number, $110 billion. That's how much they're spending to buy back their own stock. You gotta understand, that's not just some number on a spreadsheet. That's the ultimate vote of confidence. That's Apple's own leadership saying, we believe in this company so much, we're putting our money where our mouth is. Big time.
All right, that all sounds pretty great, right? A fortress. Unstoppable. But that's only half the story. Now we've got to look at the other side, the bear case, because for every bull, there's a bear out there pointing to some pretty big storm clouds on the horizon.
And the bear case is, well, just as convincing. They're also focused on four big things. First, growth is slowing way down. The iPhone market is basically saturated. And let's be honest, you're probably holding on to your phone longer than you used to. Second, the regulators are coming. Both in the US and Europe, they are taking a hard look at that walled garden ecosystem. Third, and this is a big one, China. Apple depends on China for, well, everything. Manufacturing, sales, that's a massive risk. And finally, the stock price itself. It's trading at a really high valuation, like it's expecting explosive growth, when the reality is a lot slower.
And if you want to see what that slowing growth looks like, here it is. This chart says it all. You had that insane 33% growth in 2021, and then, bam, it hits a wall. It even went negative in 2023. You know, this is the classic law of large numbers. When you're this massive, just finding new growth is incredibly difficult.
And this right here really shows you how split Wall Street is. You've got Argus saying, yup, this is a buy, it's going to $325. And then you have Morningstar coming in and saying, whoa, hold on, we think it's overvalued. Fair price is more like $240. That is a huge difference of opinion, and it really captures the whole bull versus bear debate in a nutshell.
This quote from Morningstar really gets to the heart of the bear argument. At the end of the day, even with all the services, Apple still sells stuff, expensive stuff, and that means they're tied to how regular people are feeling about their wallets. If there's an economic downturn, people stop buying new gadgets, and that always leaves the door open for someone else to come in and disrupt the whole thing.
So you have these two powerful competing stories, the fortress versus the at-risk giant. So what's the tiebreaker? What's the one thing that could tip the scales? Well, it all comes down to the AI wildcard.
This is the next massive tech wave, and what Apple does here, or doesn't do, could decide everything.
And just like everything else with this stock, the experts are totally split. You've got the bull, Sylvia Jablonski, saying, look, once they get their AI act together, it's going to force a massive upgrade cycle. People will have to buy new iPhones. But then you have the bear, Ivana Delavska, who's skeptical. She's basically saying it's not clear how they're even going to do it, and it sounds like they're leaning on other companies, which is not very Apple-like and kills their biggest advantage.
So this really is the million-dollar, or I guess trillion-dollar question, isn't it? Is Apple Intelligence the next big thing, the game changer that kicks off another huge wave of growth? Or are they just playing catch-up to everyone else? Seriously, the answer to that question probably decides who wins this whole debate. Okay, so we've laid out both sides. You've got the impenetrable fortress on one side and the giant facing some really serious risks on the other. And smack in the middle is the AI wildcard. So now, it's over to you.
So let's just boil it all down one last time. For the bulls, it's all about that sticky ecosystem and the high-margin services driving growth. For the bears, it's the saturated iPhone market and slowing sales. On risk, the bulls say Apple's financial strength can handle anything, while the bears point to huge threats from regulators and geopolitics. And then there's AI. The bulls see a massive upgrade cycle coming, and the bears worry Apple has just dropped the ball.
All right, the arguments are on the table. Is Apple that unshakable fortress getting ready for its next big act? Or is it a giant that's starting to stumble? Who's got it right, the bulls or the bears? This is where we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us which side you're on, and more importantly, why.
Hey, if you liked this breakdown, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button for the bull versus the bear. We dig into both sides of the story for the biggest stocks out there every single week. Thanks so much for watching.